Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll talk about England's performance at the T20 World Cup and the recent news that both Rob Key and Brendon McCullum are set to stay in their roles. So let us know your thoughts down below and subscribe to the channel if you're new. So, Kat, thanks for joining, mate. So, what are your thoughts on England's T20 World Cup overall? And we said in our tournament preview, the semis for England was a minimum. We ended up getting that. Losing a high scoring game to obviously the ultimate winners, India, the hosts, one of the host nations, obviously. And but what are your thoughts on how we did overall?
Yeah, no, good to be back, mate. Good to be back again. Yeah, I think it was we kind of did what we was expected to do, really. We won the games we were expected to win. We got through the group stage relatively comfortably, one or two kind of minor scares apart, nearly losing to Nepal, and then I think the Scots or the Italians gave us a bit of a run as well. But we won the games we were supposed to win. We was never really brilliant at any point, but we did enough most games to get over the line, which I suppose in its own way is encouraging. It shows the ability to kind of win games without having, without having to be brilliant. So that's kind of a mark of an improving side in one respect. So yeah, I think it was, if you had to kind of grade it out of 10, it was probably a six or seven out of 10 because it did what they was expected. Coming up against India in the semis, chasing 250. I mean, some of the games and the scores that had kind of been put on was absurd. I think I saw there was some like 786s hit throughout the whole tournament, which is just obscene in many ways. But it doesn't really make it out to be much of a kind of a battle between bat and ball. But I suppose T20 isn't really meant to be a battle between bat and ball in many ways. It's just kind of a slogathon. So, yeah, overall, I think England went okay. It's a passing grade, so nothing outstanding. But yeah, I would say they did okay.
Yeah, no, I think we I think we've done pretty well. It's certainly a lot better than the last T20 World Cup, where
Yeah,
we got to the same stage, but we got thrashed by India, and we didn't really beat anyone of note in that last tournament in the Caribbean. Whereas this time, yeah, as you say, we sort of limped through in the that opening phase against the minnows. Who, fair play, they've certainly improved the associate nations in this
yeah,
tournament. Even the US, they had India struggling in that first phase up until Suryakarma Yadav saved India, got them to a score, and then blew India away in their bowling innings. But yeah, I think it is a sign of a good team that you're not playing at your best and you win. And I think our best performances were in the Super Eight stage. Where we beat Sri Lanka, Pakistan and New Zealand. To finish top of that particular table, and then honestly on another day we could have beaten India. Like if Harry Brook, our fielding was
yeah,
on the whole pretty good in this tournament from memory, and he drops an absolute dolly when Sanju Samson was on like 15 or something, and he ends up getting
yeah. Game changer.
yeah,
Yeah,
about what was it 80, 85 or 80 plus,
yeah,
match winning score. And even when we were batting, we could easily at one stage we looked like we could go all the way and actually chase it, and just fell short. So one of those things. And on another day, we could easily got to the final, against New Zealand, who we obviously beat in the Super Eight. So yeah, it's yeah. I think I'd probably give it maybe a 7 or 7.5 out of 10. I would give it. Um, but yeah, it is another one of those what could have been, for England. But then let's talk about a few of the players who stood out and maybe who stood out, but for the wrong reasons. So we've got to start off with Will Jacks. I mean, what a tournament he had. I mean, he admitted himself. Sort of really good post match interviews with Mo and Ali. When in a few of the games where he just accepted the role of a finisher now. Obviously, and he's been in and out of the England team for quite a while, really, in all formats. So Liam Livingstone was lined up for that role and had been for quite a while. But obviously they've discarded him for now, and yeah, Will Jackson's really taken his opportunity, and yeah, considering he's a top order player, he's really taken this finishing role with both hands. And I thought was it 4 player of the matches he got in the
Yeah,
tournament, and that's some going. And yeah, so he deserves a lot of credit.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you kind of think about it, it's the in T20, top of the order and finisher, they're probably not too dissimilar a role, to be honest, because the role of the top of order batter is to kind of hit boundaries and get off to a fast start, and the role of a finisher is to, you know, clear the ropes, hit boundaries as well. So it's not too dissimilar a role in many respects, but he's a very talented ball striker. He's a good player all round. I mean, if you look at his record, 226 runs, averaging 56.5, striking at 176. Those are pretty good numbers. You know, you can't argue with those numbers for someone batting in the middle order. And then he was also good with the ball as well. Um, 9 wickets. His economy was probably slightly on the high side, but looking at some of those boundaries and some of those grounds out there, it's sometimes going at 10 or under was actually a victory, and it was actually pretty good. So overall, you'd have to say he was superb. And I think he's really kind of come into his own in that T20 team and kind of nailed down a place. So yeah, he was probably our best player of the tournament there. I would say. There's other guys who probably had little performances here and there, but he was the most consistent by far.
Yeah, no, totally. And then another player we've got to mention is, he's an absolute superstar in all formats now for England. Is Jacob Bethel. A stunning innings in that semi-final, his first T20. What a time to get in the semi-final against India, and yeah, he nearly won it for England. And yeah, we've said it many times, but not only is a star of the future, he's a star of now. And he's one of must be a handful of men that have got tons in all 3 formats, along with Butler and David Milan. Is there any others? Brooke, maybe as
So
well.
it's so there's 4 that have done it for England. So there was actually a race between Brooke and Bethel as to be who would be the third, and I think Harry Brooke just beat him to it. So I think he's by far the youngest, and he's also the quite niche stat of he's only 300s in professional cricket, all coming at professional level and in different formats. So it's quite a unique
Yeah, amazing.
statistic. So as well, and you have to kind of give props to McCullum and Key McCullum and that on this one for kind of plucking him out of relative obscurity in county cricket and chucking him in. You look at him now; he looks like he played at that level all his life. Basically, he's been phenomenal. I mean, he nearly won that semi final on his own. That was it, 105 in 45 balls. It's incredible. Not it shows he's got a range to him. So yeah, so he looks like he's here to stay, and so and yeah, he's absolutely brilliant, and he's an absolute star. So and yeah, looking forward to the next 10 years or so of watching him bat and kind of build it all around the park for England.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, no, as you say, nearly won the semi-final on his own. And yeah, I think yeah, the future was bright anyway for Bethel, but it definitely is now after that stunning knock. Let's talk about the skipper Harry Brook. His time against Pakistan, which sealed England's semi-final place. Was absolutely amazing as well. I think he led pretty well in the field as well. And he went up to eventually. I think it was Brendon McCullum's idea. He moved up to the number 3 role. Obviously bit of a surprise it weren't done a bit beforehand, but better late than never, I suppose. But yeah, he seems the perfect number 3 for England in this format.
Yeah, I say yeah, they're pretty good tournament all round with the bat. He was pretty good. He's kind of say he won that Pakistan game for us pretty much off his own bat. Um, got got a couple of other got some other pretty handy scores as well throughout the tournament. So, and then he seemed to have captained the side relatively well as well, and kind of he used his spinners pretty well throughout, and he was yeah, he seems quite tactically astute. And so yeah, you can say that he was he had a pretty good tournament on both facets on the field. So yeah, you have to give him. You know, he's had a lot of pelters over the winter, and rightly so. But you have to also give him credit where it's due too. So and credit to it.
No, totally, yeah. And what a good thing I noticed was he's been doing, especially when England been under the pump, which was a few times in this tournament, was did what Owen Morgan did as a skipper, and he'd hold the ball at the top of the bowler's mark, just let the bowlers settle for a bit rather than just keep running in a bowl without a plan and getting them to focus a bit more. So that's a really good trait that he's started doing, and and you rightly said he had some criticism over the winter, obviously rightly so, but it's not affected him, with a bat in hand and now on the field. So I think we both said he was lucky to still be the white ball captain, and that is still true. But he's proved that he can lead a team. Certainly on the pitch, he's got to obviously tighten up a little bit off the pitch, as we know.
Yep.
So a good tournament for the skipper. Let's talk about a few other players, maybe on the negative side. I mean, Joss Buttler is quite rightly renowned as one of, if not England's greatest ever white ball player. But is this the last we've seen of him in an England shirt?
Possibly. I mean, he's T20 is one of that format where sometimes it's hard to really gauge where a player's form because of the more frenetic nature of the format, and so it doesn't really allow time for like a batter to kind of get himself in and just and kind of find form. He has to go from ball one, so it's not always the most accurate gauge of a player's form. But you look at those stats. It's like 8 games. You'd expect him to have come off once in those 8 games, and average 10, strike rate 116. They're not just Butler's numbers in this format. So I suppose it all comes down to whether he's still got that fire in the belly to keep going, or so that's only a question that he can answer. But yeah, he looked like he struggled at times. Say he was struggling coming into the tournament somewhat, and it looked like the struggle continued. Sadly, I mean he's probably our best ever white ball cricketer. So I think he's got that. Yeah, he had a little bit of credit in the bank, so to speak. I think that credit is starting to run out. So, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think it kind of comes down to whether he's still got that fire in the belly and whether he still kind of wants to play international cricket. I'll get the feeling he does, and I'll get the feeling he's probably going to be allowed a little bit of latitude to carry on to see if they get that form back.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate, and yeah, hopefully he'll get his form back. Obviously, we're a much better team. Has shown this tournament when he is in form. Unfortunately, he didn't really show that form in any of the games. Really, he had the top score of 26 against Nepal in the opening game, and that was it. Really, his highest score. So we definitely didn't. Our top order didn't fire. Phil Salt had a slightly better tournament, but not one of his destructive best, which he can be. So yeah, and just, as you rightly said, the top order and your finishers are vital in this format. And that's one of the big reasons why India, end up winning the tournament. With their two openers.
Yeah,
obviously Sanju Samson in particular, absolutely incredible. So yeah, one of the big ways to them winning the whole thing. I think with Butler, I'd hate for him to go through what someone like Jason Roy went through, where obviously Jason Roy was a top player for England's white ball setups, but in this form just absolutely deteriorated and went off a cliff, and then he just seemed become, he didn't retire. He was deemed unselectable because of his form. And I'd hate to see Butler go through something like that. I back him to turn his form round, but as we saw with some of the in that ODI World Cup in 2023 when Butler was the captain, some for some players it's one tournament too many, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not the case with Butler, but you just don't know, do you?
Well, it's a fine line, but when you kind of knowing when to go, kind of we know kind of knowing when your race is run and that. So it's yeah, only he will know really as whether he's still got that fire to keep going. Um, so I get the impression that he does, and he still wants to carry on. But yeah, maybe the decision gets taken out of his hands. Um, only time will tell. So we'll see when the next round of squads get announced.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Right, let's move on to the news that's been released recently from a few media outlets. It looks like Brendon McCullum is going to stay as the men's coach across all formats, and Rob Key is the as it managing director of men's cricket at the ECB. Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I can understand there being some sort of continuity, but surely someone's got to take the blame for the Ashes debacle, and it looks like, apart from Luke Wright leaving, but I think that was for personal reasons rather than him being sacked.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, hasn't been a great deal of being interested to see what comes of this review that Richard Gould or Richard Thompson said is going to take place, or it's underway at the moment. So, but what were your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously, by the sound of it, that's going to happen. They're both going to stay. Obviously, things may well change, but judging by the amount of different media outlets that are reporting, it looks like it's going to be the case. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like there's no real accountability for what happened during the winter, especially in the Ashes. So it felt kind of predictable. But I think definitely in the red ball format, I think McCullum has kind of reached his end point there. I read a very very good piece in the Times from Mike Atherton, and he's saying that he's the a McCullum type coach is a good for if you need like a pick me up kind of a reset. So he came in just after the COVID era, at the end of the 21-22 Ashes, when kind of morale and all that was a kind of a low. So that his kind of approach and brand is kind of like it's like a confidence builder, and it's kind of allowed people to express themselves, and was the right thing at the time. And now you get at the point when he came in, so you still had a core of experienced players who didn't need that fine tuning and that more kind of like got particular kind of guidance that they need, and kind of because their experience they have, they know what to do. They don't really need their hand holding. Where this new group of players that come in, they do need a bit more kind of detail and kind of like fine tuning and guidance, and like to kind of build them up into international cricket. So I'm not sure Brendon McCullum is that kind of coach. That's probably more suited to someone like an Andy Flower, or I would have said Gary Kirsten, but he's just taken the Sri Lanka job. Yeah, so in a red ball format, I'm not sure McCullum is the man for the job anymore. He's served the purpose and kind of helped to rebuild the side and bring and take us a certain distance. But for us to kind of take that next step, we need a coach who's kind of more of a details orientated kind of person. But in terms of white ball formats, I think the T20 World Cup and that has probably bought him some time, and probably given him enough credit to carry on in the white ball formats for now. So I think, yeah. So I think he's kind of a. I think he's got enough to kind of carry on in those formats. In terms of Rob Key, I do kind of like his approach. He's a cricket man. He kind of understands the modern game and that as well. Whether he kind of needs to be a bit more of a a bit more of a challenging kind of presence. So in terms of kind of asking more questions of the coaching team, or and holding them more to account, I think is probably what he needs to do now. Whether he's done that before, he's always just given them free rein. I think that's the question. I think for him to kind of evolve into the role and kind of be fully effective, he kind of needs to hold those coaching teams more to account. So I've got nothing against him staying on. I think you look at the overall of his reign, I think he's been a positive influence overall. So no issues with him. I think the issue is kind of McCullum. I think he's in terms of his contract, he seems a bit of it seems like he's kind of an all or nothing kind of approach. He either wants both gigs or none. I don't think if he gets the red ball taken away from him, I think he might walk away from the white ball as well. So I guess it's a difficult balance.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I think my opinion on McCullum hasn't really changed from over the past sort of few weeks. I think he needs to his races run with the red ball team, and that's not even just the Ashes. I think over the past year, 18 months, we haven't really evolved from that initial stage, as you said, with those experienced players, and and to say we haven't achieved anything in red ball with McCullum would be a long way off the mark. But at the end of the day, we've not despite getting some good results, we still haven't got made a final of a World Test Championship. We've been nowhere near actually. So ultimately, I think that's what we need to be judged on from now. We've certainly got I think we've got the players too, and we've certainly got a captain in Ben Stokes who definitely is capable. But we just haven't got enough obviously consistent results, especially against obviously the top sides. In obviously Australia and India to obviously warrant a place in the final. And I say it's not just Ashes, but I think in terms of the style of play and not learning from our mistakes, it's been a rinse and repeat for quite a bit of time now, and I don't really see that changing. We might well beat. We've got New Zealand and Pakistan in the test this summer, and we probably will beat them. But when it comes to the Ashes next summer, I think we might just make those same mistakes again. I don't see a lot of change. I think, the leopard. As Roy Keane famously says, leopards don't change their spots, and I don't think McCullum would change a huge amount. I saw him, with the walkie-talkie during the World Cup, which was interesting. Harry Brooks said he made the call to move Brook to number 3 or suggested it to him. So to say that McCullum hasn't got tactical nous or anything again would be wrong. But I think that the white ball format suit his coaching methods more. I think, as you rightly said, I think someone like Andy Flower, someone of that ilk, would be much needed for our test team. Because we don't play enough, because obviously being test cricket is the most disciplined format, and you need to play disciplined cricket at times, which we don't play. So, and you need a coach that can facilitate that, which obviously McCullum doesn't. So, I would give the test role to someone else. I'd be happy to let McCullum continue in the white ball format, but I think, as you rightly said, by the sound of it, he wants all of it. So, if that was the case, then I'd be like, thanks, Brendon, but see you later. Let's get a new coach or maybe 2 coaches in instead. So, and I think with Rob Kerr, I think obviously his remit is, I think it's more than just the results. I think he's been fairly successful. I would say as a managing director. I think obviously he's admitted his mistakes for the Ashes preparation. I think seeing the preparation for the World Cup we just had, where we had those 6 games in Sri Lanka. I mean, it's not going to be rocket scientists to see how well how better we've played with a little bit better preparation. Exactly. So, so I'm happy for Key to remain in post for now. But I think for me the jury's still out on McCullum. I think it's if we actually if he is still given the test role, he needs to show himself that he's changed. Are we going to keep playing Zach Crawley when he clearly his time was up 3 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Are we still going to throw away results when we had it in the palm of our hand, like we did in India against India at the Oval? Are we still going to bowl um, random tactics at times where we don't need to? Um, are we going to play ill-disciplined cricket because we can't be bothered to block for a few overs? Like all this sort of all these regular questions that have been asked for a while now. If we're still doing that this summer, then well, clearly it was the wrong decision. But if we do make some better selections and we play a better style, more focused brand of cricket, I'll be like, okay, fair enough, I guess. But I personally don't see that happening. I think we still will beat New Zealand and Pakistan, but I think I
Oh,
don't. I think we will beat them, but I don't see the style of play changing very much. So therefore, why have we made this decision? So yeah, jury's out on that decision for me.
yeah, as I say, it doesn't need kind of like a change in the wholesale approach. It just needs some fine tuning now. It's just whether he feels like he's the man to do that. So yeah, I guess that this summer could be interesting for a number of reasons. Yeah,
Right, well, we probably won't really plan on chatting about potential candidates, Cap, but while we're here, we might as well talk about
why
it.
not?
We mentioned Andy Flower earlier, so if there was to be a change in the test role in particular, would he be your choice, Andy Flower? Obviously, coaching them fantastically before.
Yeah, I think he's probably the preeminent coach in the world game at the moment. He done a terrific job with England first time around. Um, he took us number one in the world. So, it sounds like he's evolved now from that pretty intense kind of full on kind of drill sergeant kind of character that he was before, and kind of relaxed a little bit. And his knowledge of the modern game in terms of the franchise game and all that now as well, and kind of that understanding as well as I think kind of lends him perfectly to kind of the modern player, as because when he was England coach, as like the IPL was still in its formative stages, and he was he was very much against England Test players playing in the IPL at the time, and I think he's now sort of softened his approach to kind of to Red Bull players playing all formats and that. So and he's let's say he's become he's from reports I understand. I mean, I think even Kevin Peterson was talking positively about him the other week, which tells you everything. I think Kevin Peterson once described him as a mood hoover or something like that, wasn't it? So if Kevin Peterson's talking positively about him, and then so he's got to be a shoo-in, I think. So in terms of other candidates out there, there's probably not many who are probably available that kind of like jumping out. I mean, it's like Ricky Ponting or Ravi Shastri or are probably the two that spring to mind. But I don't think either of those are particularly interested or available. And I think Andy Flower is probably the one. He's probably his if he wants it. Should a role become available?
Yeah, no, completely agree with everything you said. I think,
Yeah,
I mean, I'd if he wanted it, I'd give Flower all the roles because at obviously test level he knows inside out, been successful. But yeah, as you rightly said, his white ball exploits, the amount of franchise tournaments he's won is a joke. So if Flower wanted all the roles, I'd give it to him. Like honestly, like so. Whether that will be the case, it's probably unlikely. But yeah, I'll happily give it to Flower. Uh, you know, um, Red Bull record with England speaks for itself. The only time we've been reached number one, the number one Test team, and yeah, he's obviously won't really. I mean, I think he did white ball every now and then for England, but then he split with if it was Ashley Giles at the time. But yeah, I think with this, he's definitely evolved. And as you rightly said, yeah, Kevin Peterson of all people called him mood hoover and really was against his leadership. He endorsed Flower of all people. So yeah, that goes to show. Yeah, he's definitely changed as a character.
yeah.
Andy
The only thing I
Flower.
would say is whether kind of the modern coach kind of wants the all format kind of role just purely because of workload and the amount of time
Yeah,
they're
that's
away.
it. Yeah.
So that's the only thing. But it's like logically, because he's got the experience across formats now, he would be it makes perfect sense. It's just as we said, it depends if he wants it or not.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the other one, well, as you said, that sort of recent news of Gary Kirsten's down the Sri Lanka coach. I happily would have seen Gary Kirsten as the test, head coach. But I think he was interviewed.
Absolutely.
I think he was interviewed twice for it, so he clearly didn't shine very well. If he got interviewed for it twice and didn't get it, so yeah, that's a bit of a strange
Yeah,
one.
I think they chose. I think he interviewed the same time as McCullum did. I think, didn't he? And they went for Baz.
Yeah, and I
So
think
yeah,
before then as well, it might have been with Silva
yeah,
would have got it potentially. I'm not too sure.
probably. Yeah,
Yeah, or Trevor Bayliss, not quite sure, but yeah, I mean it's hard really. I think someone like Justin Langer, having seen him as a pundit on the Ashes for
forgot about him. Yeah,
TNC, but would he be the same as what Flower was first time round? Would he be too intense for this England team? I think it needs it, but whether the players respond to the total opposite of someone like McCullum, I'm not sure that would
yeah.
work.
Yeah, maybe that's too far the other direction, or maybe he's softened up a little bit. I get the feeling that Justin Lang probably hasn't. He
Yeah,
seems a very kind of intense, kind of up and at 'em, 150% kind of individual. So yeah, I'll get that he might be too far the other way, but he did a very good job with Australia. But I
oh
think
yeah,
there's like some of the players uh, were not enthusiastically backing him towards the end of his reign. I think so, which was
yeah, exactly. Well, I think we certainly wanted to do with results. I think it was a bit
yeah,
too intense for him. That's why Andrew McDonald was appointed. He's still there, isn't he? So,
yep,
uh, so something to do with that. Okay, well, yeah, so it's a big summer for England in terms of if it is McCullum, if it is going to be the all format coach for England. He's on fit. Well, he's on thin ice after the Ashes, and I think he's got a little bit of reprieve with the T20 World Cup, but he's still not exactly
yeah,
not exactly safe as houses, is he? So we'll watch his space, I
exactly,
guess.
yeah.
All right, great. Well, thanks for your time, mate.
No,
Thanks for
pleasure.
joining, and we'll catch you soon and see how England get on this time. We've got county championship before then, so
Yes, not far away now.
so we'll do our preview for that very soon. Right, well, thanks everyone for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Let us know your thoughts down below, and we'll see you soon. All the best, and bye for now.